Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am your Ice Dragon, Rayron VR, and today got another Anyrail episode for a particular module that I've been wanting to make for a while now. And so we're going to take a look at the Tidmouths turntable modular. So what we're going to do here is I want to, as you can see, I've got some Walther's structures. And what we're going to do is we're going to select our big turntable here. Let's make sure I got the right one here. So that's a 90. That's a 130 DCC. Okay, so we want this guy right here. So right now it looks like, it doesn't look that big. But when I put in a typical modular that I put onto my layout, let's go ahead and put this width-wise is 36 by 12. Let's go ahead and add the rectangle. Let me zoom this out real quick. As you can see, this is a normal size module that I make on my layout. Hopefully this gives you guys some perspective just how big the 130 Walther's turntable is. So as you can see, we're not going to put this turntable on a normal module that I make. So instead what we're going to do is put usually the biggest module that I would make, and that's going to be a 48 by 48 modular. So it's going to be a 4 foot by 4 foot modular. So hopefully we can actually put this turntable onto a table. So we're going to go ahead and add that into it. So now we've got our 4x4 here, and we're going to go ahead and put this into the background. There we go. And so there we go. There is our 4 foot by 4 foot modular. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to center this as best as I possibly can. And we're going to add these lines. I am done with the Walther's structure, so now we can get some more workspace here. And I'm going to insert some lines. And I also need some rulers as well. So let me go ahead and try to get this as square as possible. Let's add some rulers as well. So let's go ahead and modify these to length. I need these to be 48 inches. Alright, so we got some 48. And copy paste, and we'll rotate this bad boy 90 degrees, and then let's go ahead and grab our 12 inch, or not 12 inch, 24 inch for the halfway mark, so that way I can get kind of a center line going here. Alright, and get that down to 24 as well. Okay, and we'll try to get this into position as best as we can. Alright, so now we kind of have our center line, and so we need to go ahead and try to get our intersecting spot here. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and let's add, I wonder if I want to add some track or add a line. Debating. Let me add a line instead. Let's add a line. So what I should be doing too is grabbing this 24 and making another one. Okay, that didn't quite work. Okay. You know what I could do actually? It would be really smarter of me to do potentially. Let's do this and then this. So that way we can get our center point. And then we'll do one more down here to try to get this line somewhere all the way through. Okay. Again, not the greatest, but it's fine. Alright, and then now what we should try to do here is try to get this centered as best as we can. Alright, not too bad. So that's all lined up. That's all lined up. Alright. So there we have it. We have our center point here. So there's a couple things to talk about when it comes to this Walther's turntable. Now, what I would like to do is put as many offshoots as we can. In accordance with the instructions, we're actually going to take a look at that because that's actually kind of important when it comes to this project. So here is the Walther's instructions, and so there's a couple things to take into consideration when you're building this turntable. One, when it deals with polarity, there's a reason why there's a no track on the actual 90-degree point here, is that there's an automatic reverser to my understanding of how this is built in the wiring of the Walther's control box that they have that comes with the turntable. And so really when it comes to a 90-degree spur turnout here, there's going to be no track because that's when the polarity flips. So that's something to take into consideration when you're building our turntable. And some other things to take into consideration is that obviously you got to put a little bit of a notch there so that way it rests onto the turntable itself. And right there, if I read this correctly, it's 1/16 of an inch that you got to do. And then another thing you have to do is take a file and taper each rail so that way the rail or the wheels of your engine or freight car, whatever you're using, will transition a little bit more smoother onto the track itself. So with this in mind, let's go ahead and go back to our design here. And so there's a couple things that we could potentially do. We can still have this 90-degree shoot off, but the thing to take into consideration is that we would probably have to non-power this track. And so what we can use it for is potentially freight cars, really, as an extra storage. But for me personally, I'm just going to leave it alone because I can put some decoration. I kind of have an idea what I want to do with this modular. Now, normally some people will probably put like a shed and so forth here, but for me, it's just going to be offshoots. What I would like to do is this particular modular will be kind of a outdoor storage for engines. As you guys know, you've seen a lot of my videos and my streams where I have a ton of engines, but then if I want to switch off power, I really don't have like a dedicated spot for it. Typically, I have to take up a long siding. And so what I would like to do with this modular is just to have a whole bunch of offshoots so that way we can have a place to just put engines. Again, this is basically going to be an engine storage modular. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put a lot of offshoots here and see how it goes from there. Now, as far as the scenery is concerned, I had an interesting idea that not only would this be like a storage facility just for when it comes to functionality of the modular, but something else I was thinking about doing was putting a lot of like stands next to these rails because in this kind of fantasy world of this modular, I would think, you know what, on my railroad, what we're going to do is not only do it for storage, but also do it for the people to come out and actually look at the engines. And so what I was thinking about doing is in between each of these rails have stands where, you know, the dedicated rail fanners can come out, take pictures, and have a good time. Maybe have some parking lots all around the sides and so forth. So there's a lot that we can do with this, and I'm kind of excited for this particular modular. So with that, what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to cut away, and we're going to put basically, we're going to try to use all 99 slots in here, but we'll see how it goes. So it's going to take a little bit of time, so I will go ahead and get all of these rails added. Alright, so one thing I kind of forgot to say when I was actually recording this video was that when I'm completed with all of the rails here, we are actually going to put bumpers on the end of each of these stalls so that way the engine does not fall off the modular. Alright, how about that for a modular? You know, I'm looking at this, and as I was placing each and every one of these, all I can see is like dollar signs because, like, man, I'm gonna need a lot of track to do this. Something else I really want to take into consideration too is I want to see what this gap is because Walthers just have a template when it comes to this turntable, and I'm kind of curious. Even in their instructions, it doesn't really say what this gap is real quick. So I'm going to just trust that Anyrail has this correctly to the instructors of the Walthers. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or not, but I'm really curious to see what this distance is between each of these rails here. So it looks like it's close to an inch. Because the main question I had was, is this going to clip any other engines, especially when it comes to, you know, how tight it gets down here. Now the 1 inch apart should be fine, as long as I don't park engines or steamers and so forth close to the turntable. As long as I park them out here, it should be avoiding the clipping issue when it gets closer to a turntable. I just gotta be very vigilant of that, and so at least I know that information. But we'll just take it from there. So as you guys can imagine, the next step is going to be cutting down all of these rails so that we can fit on the modular itself. So let's go ahead and cut these down. Alright guys, so we are back. We are completed with this psychedelic type of layout, but as you can see, it gives me what I need, and that is simply mobile modular space and storage when it comes to engines. And so I've got a whole bunch of stalls here that we can put all sorts of engines on, and that's again the whole point of it. Now I did make some slight tweaks down here because this end is where we're going to put our modulars going into here, and I kind of had the idea that, you know what, if I just tweak these three right here, I can have them connect to one of my three-way modulars that I got by my 3 foot by 1 foot lengths. So that way we can have all 3 rails from the modular go into the turntable. So slight modifications down there, but as you can see, this is the general idea when it comes to Tidmouths turntable, the epic storage that I need. So yep, kind of crazy, kind of absurd to say the least, but again, I'm all about functionality, and so here we are. So this is a by 4 foot by 4 foot modular, and hopefully you guys learned something, and with that, I'll see you on the next episode.